Look, nobody's a saint. We all get pissed off. It's a human thing, like needing to pee or occasionally wanting to throw your phone across the room. But there's a huge difference between feeling angry and letting that anger turn you into a raging lunatic. When you lose your temper, especially with people you care about, it's like setting off a small bomb in your own living room. Sure, you might feel a momentary rush of power or release or whatever you want to call it. But afterwards, all you're left with is smoke, damage, and people looking at you like you've grown a second very ugly head. Relationships don't thrive in a war zone. Think about what actually happens when you explode. Does the problem magically disappear? Does your partner suddenly see the light and agree with everything you've ever said? Hell no. Usually the original issue, whatever it was, gets completely buried under a fresh layer of hurt feelings and resentment. Now you've got two problems, the first one plus the new one you just created by acting like a toddler with a megaphone. It's a dumb, exhausting cycle. You shout, or worse, they shut down, and absolutely nothing gets solved. It's the definition of unproductive, and frankly, it makes you look weak, not strong. This isn't just about your romantic partner, by the way. Your temper tantrums can scorch everyone in your life. Friendships wither when one person is constantly on edge, waiting for the next outburst. Family gatherings become minefields. And kids are like super absorbent emotional sponges. They soak up that tension, that fear, that anger. They learn how to deal with emotions by watching you. So, if you're constantly flying off the handle, you're basically teaching them that yelling and aggression are normal responses. That's a pretty shitty lesson to pass on, isn't it? The bottom line is this. Losing your temper isn't a sign of strength, it's a sign that you've lost control over yourself. Real strength is about managing your reactions, even when you're feeling overwhelmed or furious. It's about choosing a response that doesn't involve emotionally carpet bombing the people you claim to love. It's tough, no doubt, but it's also necessary if you want to have healthy, happy relationships that don't require everyone to wear emotional flak jackets around you. This is about saving those connections before they're burned to a crisp. Let's get real about the damage. When you unleash a torrent of angry words, they don't just vanish into thin air, they hit their target. And even if you don't mean every terrible thing you say in the heat of the moment, those words act like tiny, sharp knives. They might not leave visible bruises, but they carve out emotional wounds. These aren't the kind of boo-boos you can fix with a plaster and a kiss. These are the internal kind, the ones that ache long after the shouting has stopped. Your loved ones might say they forgive you, but forgetting the sting? That's a much harder ask. Imagine living with someone who could erupt at any moment. It's like constantly walking on eggshells, trying to predict what might set them off. It's stressful. It's anxiety-inducing. People in this situation start to shrink. They become smaller versions of themselves to avoid conflict. They stop sharing their thoughts, their feelings, their dreams, because they're terrified of saying the wrong thing and triggering another explosion. Is that what you want? A relationship where the other person is too scared to be authentic with you? That's not connection. That's a hostage situation. This emotional toll isn't some minor inconvenience. It has serious, long-lasting effects. It erodes self-esteem. It can make people doubt their own worth. Children who grow up in environments filled with anger often carry that baggage into their adult lives. They might struggle with their own temper, or they might become overly compliant, always trying to please others to avoid confrontation. Your anger doesn't just impact the present moment, it sends out ripples that can affect people for years, shaping their future relationships and their own emotional well-being. It's a heavy responsibility to consider. And let's not forget about you, the ranter and raver. That explosive anger might feel like a release valve in the moment, but what about afterwards? Usually there's a crash. Guilt sets in, regret gnaws at you, maybe even a deep sense of shame. This cycle of fury, outburst, and remorse is exhausting for you too. It doesn't actually solve whatever made you angry in the first place. It just adds another layer of negativity to your life. You end up feeling isolated, wondering why people are pulling away. Hint, they're tired of being your emotional punching bag. Trust is the bedrock of any decent relationship. Think of it like a beautiful, delicate glass sculpture. It's precious, it's valuable, and it's incredibly easy to break. Every time you lose your cool and lash out, every time your anger hurts someone you care about, you're picking up a hammer and taking a swing at that sculpture. A small chip here, a tiny crack there. Maybe they can be overlooked at first. But keep swinging that hammer, and eventually the whole damn thing will shatter into a million pieces, and good luck trying to glue all those tiny shards back together seamlessly. When trust is gone or even just badly damaged, everything in the relationship becomes harder. Communication becomes strained, guarded. People stop believing your apologies because they've heard them too many times, only to be followed by another outburst. Your "I'm sorry" starts to sound like a broken record, meaningless and insincere. They begin to anticipate the anger, to brace for it rather than expecting kindness or understanding. This creates a climate of fear and suspicion, which is pretty much the opposite of what a loving relationship should feel like. It's a shaky foundation for anything. Put yourself in their shoes for a minute. How can anyone feel genuinely safe and secure with you if they're constantly worried about when the next emotional bomb will drop? Feeling safe is not just about physical safety, it's about emotional safety too. If your loved ones don't feel emotionally safe with you, they won't trust you with their vulnerabilities, their fears, or their hearts. They'll build walls to protect themselves, and when those walls go up, true intimacy goes out the window. All because anger was allowed to run rampant and unchecked. Rebuilding broken trust is not a quick fix. It's a slow, often painful, and incredibly challenging process. It requires more than just saying sorry. It demands consistent, demonstrated change in your behavior. It means learning to manage your anger effectively, day in and day out. It means showing through your actions that you are committed to not hurting them again. Frankly, it's a hell of a lot easier to not break that trust in the first place. So pause and think before you unleash the fury. The future of your relationships might just depend on it. Alright, so we've established that turning into the Hulk every time you're annoyed is a bad strategy for life and love. So, what's the alternative? First, you need to become a detective of your own emotions. What are your triggers? Is it when you feel ignored, disrespected? Is it financial stress, work pressure, or just being tired and hungry? The dreaded hangry? Identify the specific situations, words, or feelings that tend to light your fuse. Knowing your personal emotional landmines is the critical first step in learning how to avoid stepping on them, or at least diffusing them before they blow. Next, master the art of the pause. This sounds ridiculously simple, but it's a game changer. When you feel that familiar heat, that tightening in your chest, that urge to scream stop, just freeze. Take a deep breath, or 10. Count backwards from 20. Walk away from the situation for a few minutes if you need to. The goal is to create a buffer, a little bit of space between the trigger and your usually explosive reaction. This pause gives your rational brain a chance to catch up with your emotional brain. It's not about suppressing anger, it's about choosing a more intelligent response. You also need healthy ways to release that pent-up angry energy. Because just bottling it up isn't the answer either. That just leads to a different kind of explosion later, or it eats you up from the inside. Find what works for you. Maybe it's physical activity, going for a hard run, hitting a punching bag, or even just some vigorous cleaning. For others, it might be talking things through with a trusted friend, journaling, meditation, or engaging in a creative hobby. The point is to channel that powerful emotion into something constructive, or at least harmless, instead of using it to damage your relationships. Finally, remember that this is a skill. Learning to manage anger effectively takes time, practice, and patience with yourself. You're not going to become a Zen master overnight. There will be times when you slip up. The key is to not give up. Acknowledge the mistake, apologize sincerely if necessary, and then recommit to doing better next time. The reward is huge, stronger, healthier relationships, a more peaceful home environment, and a greater sense of self-control. A life where you control your temper, instead of your temper controlling you, is a much better F*C seeking life.